All right, Sunday stream. Here we go. Kick is live, and I am live. Cool. All right, YouTube, Twitch, YouTube is live. Kick is live, and let's check Twitch. And Twitch is good to go. Cool. All right. Let us get started. All right. Sunday stream. Here we go. Ooh, cool. Switch my camera up a little bit so I have a little bit of a better camera. All right. Let me turn this down. There we go. Okay, so today we are finishing, maybe, this book, Mercenary, Reincarnated as a Chef, Book 3. Let's write. I hit, whatever, 100,000 words. Actually, I hit, oh, you can't see me because of the camera here, but let me, 100K here. Whoop. And that's usually the word size of a book for me, but this current book is going to run a little long because I'm at the ending and it's not done yet. I'll get to the book in a second. Let me do the whole opening thing, talking, blah. So, I am an author, Gabriel Rathweg, and I write books. This book I'm currently writing is Mercenary Reincarnated as a Chef. And for the last month or so, been writing every day on these streams, and now we are about to finish. That's pretty cool. I think it's a first. I don't know if anybody's ever written a whole novel on one of these streaming platforms, but hey, man, I'll take the title of first ever streaming novel completion author. Cheers. Oh, wait, I'll turn that light back on, the camera back on. So, yeah, cool. All right. What else? Yesterday's stream, if anybody watched, I did not feel like doing it, but did it anyway. And today I'm a bit more motivated. Just trying to think of the right things to say. Let's see. Let's say hello if anybody's watching. Is anybody watching? Nobody on the Twitch. Derpa. And nobody on the Kick. Oh, 2 people watching on Kick. Hello. And where's the YouTubes? 1 person watching on YouTube. Thank you all for watching. I think today, because I normally turn off the chats and stuff to make it easier to what's the word? See me, hear me, whatever. But you know, today is a little bit more chill because I know how the book's gonna end. You know, I was talking it out with my wife this morning, and she's also gonna edit it when it's done. And she goes, "Oh, what's gonna happen at the end?" I'm like, "Do you want to know?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "Okay." So I just fleshed it out for her, and yeah. As I was saying it, I was like, "Fuck, this is gonna make the book so much longer." But only a few thousand words. It shouldn't be too much. So instead of finishing yesterday, I'll finish tomorrow, and before the end of the day, I'll submit it. Well, no, I'll text my publisher, Athon Books, and be like, "Hey guys, book's done." So that fulfills that contract. And then on Tuesday, I think I'll go back to book 1, Mercenary Reincarnated as a Chef 1, and do a quick, like, fast read-through on stream to just refamiliarize myself with it. And then on Tuesday, it'll probably take Tuesday and Wednesday. If not, if it just takes Tuesday, great. And then Wednesday, I'll take book 2, which is given back to me a couple weeks ago from the editor from Athon, and I'll go do the edits. And then by that time, my wife should be done with book 3's edits. I'll do those and submit it. And then, yeah, probably over the weekend, it'll be done again. And that whole process will be finished. And Monday, I'll start a brand new book. And this book, I when I started streaming, I was at 25,000 words. So 100,000 words is the end. Usually 25,000 was a quarter. I finished that, but that took me a month to write that first 25. And even when I first started streaming the first week, I was only writing 500, 1,000 words a day. And now I'm at 2,500 every day in less than 2 hours, basically. And I know I'm rambling, but 6 months from now, I don't know how many words I'll be able to do in a day in 2.5 hours, but it's going to be more than 2,500. You know, it might be 5,000. I mean, I don't know. Like, I actually do have a little trepidation, though, because all these edits are kind of garbage. Not all of them. There's a lot of garbage edits. And I feel like when I read through it, it's going to be so bad. And I have to, like, rewrite so much shit. But, you know, context, before Grammarly and stuff, you had to do a lot of rewrites anyway. So it was actually a lot easier. What else? Yeah, I'm going to just ramble because it's Sunday and just look at shit, see if anybody's talking. Maybe look at stuff online. Hey, I met you and your wife at literature. I was a theater guy in this. Oh, yeah. That's cool. Oh, hey, yeah, Jared, what's up, man? Hey, I know there's a lag between what I'm saying and this, but, yeah, bro. But yeah, man, I remember you, man. It was cool, man. LitRPG Con was really fun, man. I'm glad you're watching. And I remember talking to you. That's the whole point, man, is people asking. I don't know if you remember the conference. Everybody was asking, how do you write? How do you write? But yeah, man, thank you for watching, and I appreciate it, dude. LitRPG Con was in Denver last month, and I was a panelist, and I got to interact with a lot of people who weren't my fans. Some were, a couple, but most of them were other people's fans. But I got to meet a lot of really cool people, and Jared in the YouTube chat was one of them. And yeah, it was cool, man. Everybody was pretty cool. I like how you described yourself, so I remember. I was the theater guy in the skull shirt. Yeah, man, I remember. That's funny, dude. But yeah, it was a really good time. Really good time. I think they've already put the... I saw an email already, and they're selling tickets for next year's conference. So if you want to get in, man, they're selling cheap now, but I think they're going to cap it again, but they're like going to double the price. I don't know. We'll see. What else? I'm going to upgrade my internet probably next week because I have like fine internet, but it's not good for streaming. So, or podcasting. Who the fuck talks like that? It's not for podcasting. But my buddy over in England, my friend Dom. I think you met him, Jared. You met Dom. He was that black dude that has a very posh accent. We do a podcast, and he was what was he saying? Shit, where did my train of thought go? I don't remember. Oh yeah. He wants to go to LitRPG Con next year too, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, yeah. What else? So anybody who watches this later on that's not live, or anybody live that's watching that, you know, is new. Every Friday I do a recap of all the books: Mercenary, Reincarnated as a Chef 1, 2, and 3, and then give a writing tip, and then explain what happened last time I wrote, and read a few chapters, then get started. The goal, yeah, man, I can't wait till next year. I think it's gonna be really fun. I posted some pictures on Facebook, and it was just not accidentally. I put some of us going to the range and shooting when we were there, and some people were like, hey, there was a range day. I was like, pretty fun. Yeah, man, the podcast is cool. It's pretty fun. It's him and I just making up a story top of our heads. You know, well, we'll see. I think it's fun. We'll see. Well, it is actually really fun. I know it's fun, but very crude, very rude, and yeah, it's a blast. It's like being 15 again and like talking shit back in the 90s. I miss that shit. Okay, so yeah, usually the goal is 500 words per half hour. So 1,000 words an hour, 2,500 words a day, 2.5 hours of work. Max, I mean, if you can hit that goal, but you know, it's been a lot, time's been going a lot faster, and I've been doing 1,250, 1,300 words in like 45 minutes. I don't know if I said thanks for following Frosh number 12, Frosh 12, but thank you for following. I will be doing a podcast. Okay, wait, let me get to this. Okay. So anyway, 500 words per half hour, 2,500 words for 2.5 hours. So 2,500 words a day. 10 days, 25,000 words. 40 days, 100,000 words. That's a book. Now this one will be, I think it's going to end up being like 105,000. That seems about, if I'm guessing in my head, maybe less, how much it's going to take to write to finish the ending that I want. But if you get to 2,500 words a day, you could write a book in a month and 10 days. Some of these mofos, they write like 5,000 a day, 6,000 a day, 10,000 a day. There's this one dude, Michael Scott Earl, who started out about a year before me. Maybe a little longer. But I was reading his stuff, and he was putting books out every month. Boom, 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 boom. And he was putting books out so fast and making up so much money that Amazon thought he was fucking cheating. And they banned him from Amazon. It's fucked up. But he had such a good following, he's making him on his own. But yeah, man, it's crazy. What else? Let me think. Oh yeah, on Twitch, Bart Simpson followed me. Thank you, bruh. Bart. Thank you, Bart. And what else? I think that's about it. Let me think. Writing tip. What is a good writing tip? One I haven't said already. Don't be afraid to sound stupid. That's a good one. Don't be afraid to sound stupid. You're going to sound stupid. It's okay. You don't have to look cool. You're writing a book. One thing I loved about the con, LitRPG con, was everybody was just really cool authors. Guests, you know, everybody was cool. But I've been to some of those where the authors are real motherfuckers. Luckily, LitRPG is pretty cool group of people. Anyway, I think it's time to get started. Dooby-dooby-doo. Let me see. All right. Yeah, once again, I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to write a little bit, fuck around. I'm not in a huge rush. I don't think I need to hurry today. I think I know where I'm going with the story into the end, so let's do it. I'll check the chat and stuff more periodically today than normal because, like I said, it's not like a imperative that I finish at a certain point. Like, for me, the deadline I gave myself was actually a word count, and I hit that. So by hitting that word count, it relieves all the stress from me because the book's done. Now it's just fixing it up. So yeah. Oh, let me pitch my shit real quick before I get started. You can find my work on Amazon.com. Gabriel Rathweg, Rathweg. The series I have on there now is I Am Gamer, which is one of my older series. Is about a guy who gets transported back into 12th century North America, to the Denver area, so to speak, Colorado Springs area specifically, before the arrival of the European explorers and conquistadors. And yeah, man, it's a fun book. I Am Gamer. There's 5 of them. I'm gonna write one more, I think, and that'll conclude that series. And then there's From Chef to Crafter to Conqueror. That is my most famous series, and that is about a chef. Yeah, that is true. Most authors in the space are still too new to be jaded. Well, for now, we'll see. We'll see how long that lasts. From Chef to Crafter to Conquer is about a chef, a chief in the Space Force in the future, who gets catapulted back in time into the medieval era of Japan, Tsushima Island specifically. And if you're familiar with the Ghosts of Tsushima video game, that specific island, and he goes there to, he's there right before his spaceship, basically he's a chef in the Space Force. His spaceship gets blown up and he escapes an escape pod. The escape pod gets sent back in time through like a disturbance in the quantum space continuum, and he ends up crash landing in Tsushima, off the coast of Tsushima Island, right before the Mongol invasions of Japan. And historically, those invasions fail anyway due to kamikaze divine wind. And I thought it'd be fun to write a story where that kamikaze divine wind was actually a time traveler coming back in time and being responsible for destroying stopping the invasion of the Mongols. And then, more. He's basically, it's a alternate history, time travel, civilization builder. And he's a chef, but he has all these future knowledge because he has a AI in his head. So basically he's able to accelerate the tech timeline for medieval Japan. Think World War II, but Japan got World War II tech in the 1500s and then better. And so it's pretty fun. Yeah, and that next book in that series will be number 6, and that'll come out in October. So that's exciting. And this series it's probably December, I think December, January, because the audio for book 1 is being done by Ralph Lister, the guy who did The Gentleman, who did the narration for Shogun. Shogun is a phenomenal book series about I think it's a Dutch sailor who goes to medieval Japan when they first open up, and he lives advisor to the Shogun. Great series on FX. So if you like that stuff, check it out. Highly, highly recommended. So what else? I got a Warrior Academy is one of my bigger series, but I pulled it off Amazon and I'm rewriting it and combining books 1 and 2 into one book, books 3 and 4 into one book, and taking book 5 and gonna write another half of book 5 to book 6 and make that book 3. And I always felt bad because I wrote that series at the beginning. It was one I've been wanting to write for a long time, but I just wasn't skilled enough to pull it off. And there's a lot of errors, and I was just really shitty author. I was a real shitty author, and I didn't have the resources I do now. So I've always wanted to rewrite it and do it right and fix it. And I already got all new covers made, which I think I posted in my social media, but it's such a good series and I can't wait to do it. And I'll be releasing that October, November, December, depending on how the Athon books, when they come out, because my plan is to release 9 books over the course of 9 months. So October 15th, the first book I'm going to put out is From Chef to Crafter to Conqueror book 6, unless Athon's releasing a book in October. If they are, then I'll put From Chef out in November. And then depending on how the other 2 releases for Athon go, I'm going to stagger my books in. So for example, if Mercenary Reincarnated as a Chef comes out October, November, December, I will do that, and then I'll put on January will be From Chef, February will be Warrior Academy 1, March Warrior Academy 2, April Warrior Academy 3. That's 7, and then during that period I'll have Warrior Academy 1, 2, and 3 done before December, probably next month. And then I'm gonna be writing 3 books from December to April, and that series is tentatively called Island Lit, and it's gonna be about let me take a pause, catch my breath. I'm just regurgitating shit on as fast as possible. Blah 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 blah. That series is going to be about if anybody's ever read S.M. Stirling's Island of the Sea of Time, it's Nantucket Island gets transported back into some fucking fantasy medieval version of the world where magic exists and stuff. So I have a similar concept to that, but it's a concept that's similar, but it's pretty different. So I'm going to use the island where I grew up as Merritt Island, and it's not like an island in the Caribbean. It's just off the coast of Florida, but it's a barrier island in between. It's an island in a river in between the mainland of the Florida and the barrier island of Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, where they launched the space shuttle. So I grew up there, and I was planning on using that area for the book, and it's going to be transported, the whole island, which it's a man-made island because it's actually a peninsula, but they chopped it off by putting a canal so they could ship spaceship stuff back in the 50s during the space race. So they turned the peninsula into an island, hence Merritt Island. But I'm going to use it as the island that gets transported into a new world. It's going to be like an isekai. I'm an isekai a whole fucking island, basically, instead of just a person. There's another book series called The Ring of Fire by... fuck, he's great. I love his work. He's one of my favorite authors. Shit. I can't remember his name. Derpy derp. Retarded I am. Ring of Fire. Not Johnny Cash, motherfucker. Books. Eric Flint. There we go, Eric Flint. I think he died, man. Which sucks, because, great author. I really love Eric Flint stuff. Really great military sci-fi guy. Yeah, 2022, man. Yeah. David Weber, though, is cool, too. David Weber is cool too, though, but he's a co-writer of his stuff too, and I got to meet him at 20 Books a couple years ago, which is pretty cool. He's one of my favorite authors. It is crazy how, you know what? It is crazy how fast since I've started writing. I was 35 when I started writing. Seriously started writing. I wrote a little bit here and there, but nothing serious. And about 35 when I started writing. 35. And now I'm 44. And it's such a small space that even self-publishing, I've got to meet some of my favorite authors, which is pretty cool. Larry Correa, he was there, and like, I don't know, it's just neat. And you get to interact with them by being in the space on Facebook and stuff too, which is cool. So I don't know. It's just a neat world we live in. And I sound kind of whatever, but it's just a neat world we live in. Anyway, let me close this out. So yeah, let me think. Yeah, okay, well that's about that. Let me see. So, what was I talking about? From Chef, Warrior Academy, talked about that. Island Lit, that's what I was talking about. So yeah, I'm gonna transport the whole island. And I'm going to kind of leave it open during the books. Like, it'll be a small area of the island where, like, the protagonists live. And then the next part of it will open up more. And the third book's trilogy. I'm only doing trilogies from now on. I'm not doing this 10-book series shit. I get too tired of writing the same story. There's too much stuff to write. There's so many stories to tell. That's why I love this podcast that I'm doing with Dom. Like, I get to just make up shit. And it really is... It's like creative rocket fuel. If you want to open up your thought process, just verbal diarrhea story stuff on a podcast with a friend and laugh about it, and then, you know, the ideas are great because it teaches your brain to go faster, to think about the things quick and just come out with stuff. And it's not all great, obviously, but just having the creativity is a really nice thing. I think of it as like a verbal improv almost, you know, on the fly storytelling. I really think that Dom and I are pioneering a really new form of entertainment, and whether it works or not, the benefit to me as a writer is going to be like tremendous. I can't even imagine. Like, I can't even quantify how beneficial it's already been and how it's going to be, you know. Even this stream, just talking to fucking two people and having two people watch me fucking write is so helpful in my writing process. Because the accountability there, it's almost like having to be in a boss at an office with people like watching. If you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. I don't know. Pretty cool. Everybody's different though, you know. Oh, wife's home. She's been doing Bikram's yoga. It's great for her. I'm really glad. She's doing stuff that is healthy. It's hard to be healthy these days. I'm just ramble. Okay. All right. Let's get writing on the book. So yeah, let's get writing on this book. I think I've rambled enough. Yeah, it's at 25 minutes in. So if you want to know what happened on books 1 and 2, you can watch the Friday stream. I go over all that. Hang on, before I get started, let me say hi to my wife when she comes in. Oh, she's going to the other door. Never mind. Great. So last time we stopped, Lou, the main character, was in basically heaven, and he had just been brought before all the pantheon of gods in the multiverse, and he's being basically judged. And yeah, they basically, so they arrive before the gates of heaven. They meet this like batter ass god who sets the other 3 goddesses up, and they then takes them all into heaven, where they walk through, and then they get to this Colosseum place where all the gods and goddesses and all the universes are there somehow. And then that's where we are. So let me move this to here, and let's get started, okay? I'll read from chapter 31. Why not? I'm not going to put a word goal because when we're done, we're done. Chapter 31, Mercenary, Reincarnated as a Chef, Book 3. As the voice spoke, the blinding light began to dim. Lou was staring at the ground, unable to look up, but the burning light was no, that's not it. Crept in, even face down, with his head buried in his arms. Rise. The word was a command which Lou followed. The word was a command, not a suggestion, which Lou followed, his body moving of its own accord like a robot under remote control. From his peripheral, he could see gods and goddesses. He could see the 3 his accompanying gods and goddess. Moving He could see his accompanying pair of gods and Azrael moving similarly from his peripheral vision. Then, when all 4 of them were standing at military-like attention, with Lou in the center, and the 3 deities lined up behind him, the newcomer nodded in satisfaction. Wait. When all 4 of them were standing at it, they stopped moving. Period. Azrael stood directly behind him. Azrael stood directly behind him and hovered over him, comma, hovering over him with clear menace in her posture. The light, thankfully, dissipated, and the voice's owner appeared. All four of you stop playing grab-ass. You especially, Azzy. You are the reason we're here, after all. A man, God, Lou reminded himself. Who happened to be the spitting image of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but with blonde hair and coal black skin, said jocularly. Lou heard the god's tone, but his eyes said otherwise. They were as hard as tungsten steel and even less yielding. He judged by Azrael's gasp that this guy was not to be trifled with. He stared at the overly muscular man stared at his sponsor goddess for another second before snorting, turning, striding off, and waving for them to follow him. All three deities hopped up and moved it, as if they were recruits in basic training, and Lou was only a few milliseconds behind them. He was scared from the inside out. So scared that even his hair stood on end from the fear. But even with all of that going on inside of him, he couldn't help but gasp as he gave himself whiplash as he tried to take in every sight that appeared around them. It wasn't just that he was walking through a place they called the Gates of Heaven. He had passed by the gates that had been a study in amazingness themselves. But they were long past them. Period. That meant Lou was walking through heaven. He was in heaven. The thought caused him to trip, and only the charcoal god looked back at his almost faceplant. Lou, however, caught his balance and hurried to catch up to the others, giving the Rock lookalike a thumbs up as he did so. Period, to which the god winked in return before turning back around, not having slowed the group's pace one iota. It wasn't as if everything that Lou saw was new and different. In fact, most things he recognized were familiar plants and trees, animals, and other beings like angels and cherubs. Some more alien, but none that didn't seem to belong. What astonished him was how everything, though they were everyday, what astonished him was how everything looked and seemed, even though Lou had seen the same things before. He felt like the difference now was that he felt like he was sensing with 100 more senses, as if everything that he had felt before was just a pantomime of real feeling. He He had been living his 53 years of life, and none of it felt he had lived 53 years of life, and none of it felt real. He had lived 53 years of life, and none of 53 years before being reborn, and none of it felt real anymore. Of those memories felt real anymore compared to the things that Lou was seeing and feeling right at that moment. When Lou lived on Earth, leading scientists believed there were possibly 30 or more senses, of which humans only had 5 or maybe 6. The first time Lou had read that, he had scoffed and called it nonsense. Now, if anything, he believed that 30 was a low estimate. His normal senses were amplified, like someone had turned the dial to 1,000,000. He couldn't even explain what the other senses were, comma. He could only feel them. And even then, he wasn't sure what he was feeling enough to attempt an explanation. The stroll through the stroll through heaven abruptly ended, and somehow they all appeared in a large domed cathedral filled with so many gods and goddesses that Lou felt like he was staring at the stars in the night sky. He was having trouble rationalizing the sheer amount of beings in the small space they'd just happened to. Lou could tell there was magic involved, but the incongruity of number of deities to space messed his visual senses up so much, comma, he began to get vertigo. A strong hand on his shoulder helped prop Lou up, and the dizziness disappeared. He turned to the source of the helping hand and saw the blonde-haired, black-skinned god grinning widely at him. Don't show weakness so soon, boy. These others will eat it up like a hot fudge sundae. Fuck, I miss dessert. the god joked. Lou wanted to laugh, but the sounds died in his throat before he could start to even form them, as a tolling bell began to ring from inside his head. The toll was so loud, Lou thought his brain was going to explode. But after a few seconds, it stopped and he was fine. But still there with his brain intact. His body, however, had instantaneously teleported to the center of the Colosseum, and with the quantum pantheons of deities all seated in the stands. A small part of his mind knew that the gods had to be using some type of magic for him, because otherwise he knew his sanity would already have been long gone. I think I'll do 1, 2, 3, so 4 more pages. I'll finish this chapter. It's about 2,000-ish, 2,000 to 3,000 words. That'll probably be the end, and then another 1,000 after, maybe 1,000 after this will probably knock it out. So now, what happens next? What happens next? Think it. How do I want to get to where I want to go? How do I want to get to where I want to go? Okay, I think I know. Okay. But here he was, sitting in a rather comfortable, cushioned chair, winged back chair, on a slowly rotating platform with all of the gods and goddesses in all the multiverse seated in judgment around me. And not only was I calm, I was excited and eager about the proceedings. There is a power that comes with it, with clarity of mind that most beings will never experience in their entire lives. Oh shit, time to preach. Oh shit, time to preach. Oh shit, time to preach. Most people are so worried about what others think about them, that it affects how they live, how they live their entire lives. So much so that most of them never achieve anything close to their potential, or even anything close to mild satisfaction. The quote, "Most men live lives of quiet suffering." I think this was the quote. Most men, desperation, I think. Quiet desperation. Here we go. The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. Has been true since the dawn of man. When one receives clarity of mind, however, the freedom of not giving one iota of a fuck about what anyone else says or thinks about you is uncomparable. Lou was sitting in that knowledge just as Lou's mind was sitting in that knowledge just as his body was sitting in that comfy chair. Do 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 do. Ba da ba ba da 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 da. Do 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 do. Let us think about what happens next. As his thoughts rambled, as his mind roamed and contemplated the philosophical, the judgment continued, and the proceedings started. Lou was able to watch with a detachment of himself that bordered on the supernatural. He was in his body, but felt as if he was watching from back in the void. Instead of being scared, Lou accepted it and followed the proceedings with as clinical a disposition as he could maintain. This tribunal, the first of its kind to be called in over 9,000 millennium, is due to the breaking of the pact of the Tower Pact by the 3 beings, by the 4 beings below. The charcoal skin blonde man intoned, his voice still hinting at a inside joke, even with the gravity of the situation. $105.69. 500 more will be at 1,000 words. Let's tink. The oceans of deities roared in response, mostly in displeasure mixed with a large amount of jeering, but also with a small amount of sympathy, Lou noted with his Lou noted. Azrael, Raijin, and Loki squirmed in their prostrated positions, none of them attempting to say a word in their defense. Just the Metatron, the charcoal skin man began, his eyes spinning slowly, turning slowly from the center of the room. His eyes seeming to lock and speak with every god in the magical stands. Am the Metatron, the voice of the ruler of the tower, and by extension, the ruler of the multiverse. Lou raised his eyes in surprise at the god's name. The Metatron was the voice of God back on Earth, and to hear its name used here made him even more interested in the proceedings. No matter his eventual punishment. The Metatron quieted the deities down with a slow raising and lowering of his arms, and when they were all quiet, began speaking again. The tower of the tower has decreed the use of nuclear weapons is against the rules of the tower competition and the agreement between the multiverse deities. In response to this breaking of the rules, ... No! Azrael screeched, leaping to her feet and and hurrying over to the Metatron before collapsing and grabbing at his feet while screaming out her innocence and trying to explain her side of the story. No, it wasn't us. The champion cheated on his own. Not one of us three gave him that power. He did it himself. Raijin and Loki, still prostrated, raised their heads and looked to the Metatron and nodded in the positive, backing up the ugly demonic goddesses' claims. This caused another round of derision, hooting and hollering from the crowd, from the attending deities, divinities, but after a minute or so, the Metatron quieted them down once again before turning and facing Lou and the others. A slight kick of his foot tossing Azrael back into their previous position. Again, Lou was impressed. The fact that the Metatron could simply kick a goddess with such little effort just imparted just how powerful the being was. What are we at? 100 more to 1,000. Let's go. And I was talking for a half hour, basically. So that means I did 1,000 words in a half hour. And 100 more. That's pretty good. Pretty sure the whole first 30 minutes is just me gabbing about bullshit. Let me think. Last 100 words. Let us think. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. The black blood dribbling from Azrael's mouth, from Azrael's Fang Maw, reinforced Lu's hypothesis. And the way Raijin and Loki flinched, reinforced Lu's hypothesis. The crowd cheered like spectators at a WWE extravaganza. The small punishment beginning to get their immortal blood going. Do not interrupt me again. The Metatron's voice seemed to ring out from the universe around and inside of Lu. The quieting of the crowd and the flinching and of his accompanying his group, his group's deities showed they received the same treatment. For a moment, the Metatron was satisfied with the effect of his powers. Continued. The goddess Azrael and the gods Raijin and Loki have made the accusation that the reborn mortal, known in his past life as Diamond Lu, and now as Demon Ru. Oh. The Metatron paused, his face lighting up in delight and turning to look at Lu. I get it. Demon Ru, like the cooking ingredient. Ru. Ha. Not a bad joke. Not a bad play on words, if I do say so myself. I'll let the ruler of the tower, know that they made a good one. $101,071. 1, 2, 3 pages. Okay. So. Oh, stretching. Neck. Oh. Okay, let's see how the chat's going. Cool 2 watchers on YouTube. Thank you, thank you. Dose watchers on Zakick. Thank you. And one mofo watching on Twitch. Thank you, sir. Ma'am. Whoever. What else do I say? Should I take a break? It's been an hour and 11 minutes and 11 seconds. Well, nah, let's just keep going for a little bit. I had a podcast today I'm doing with Dom, so probably in an hour or two, 1-ish, 1:30. Let me do a little bit more, and then I'll stop for the day because of this podcast, and we'll finish it tomorrow. Yeah, let's just do a little bit more. Metatron began a chuckle that turned into a full-on booming laugh that again started to drift into that mind and body numbing power the being used earlier. The gods and goddesses in the stands began to look at one another in confusion before a staccato burst of hesitant laughter shot out here and there. Causing the whole crowd to begin laughing, though none of them got the joke. After a minute of this, the Metatron abruptly stopped laughing and his face turned into a frowning glare. This shut up the gods and goddesses, like turning a tap off, and he returned his attention to Lou and the others. As I was saying, there has been a formal accusation made. It is now the accused right to defend themselves as per the ancient laws. What do you have to say for yourself, Diamond Lou, aka Demon Rue? And you better make it good. The Metatron finished with a not so kind smile and waggle of his bushy blonde eyebrows. One oh one 231. 101 231. 101 231. Hmm. 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock somewhere. Lou swallowed the lump in his throat so big it physically hurt him to do so, but nodded anyway. His newfound clarity of mind helping him keeping his helping him keep a semblance of calm. I don't agree with ... Stop. Don't tell us. Period. Show us with your mind. The Metatron explained, this time with an overtly kind and look. The act calmed Lou completely, and he knew instinctively in his mind how to do what the tower mouthpiece was saying. He nodded and did as instructed. One 312. 101 312. 1, 2, 3. 3 more pages. 1, 2, 3. That'll be 1,500 words ish. That'll finish me up. Stretch. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Thinking hard. Hardly thinking. Oh, checking YouTube, checking Kick, checking everything. Looks good. Just delaying the work. That's all. But you gotta think. Thinking is work. Thinking is work. Do. Lou calmed his mind and took himself back to creating the mini nuke, Davy Crockett, but a voice, but the Metatron's voice spoke, and in his mind, telling him to go all the way back to the beginning of his first life. The one before he died and was reborn. Lou took another deep breath, closed his eyes, and tried again. He went back to his birth, to before he was born somehow, to when he was a collection of cells in the uterus, was a collection of cells coming together, growing into a baby. Lou's mind was able to remember to somehow go back to the moment of his conception, as he watched like a bystander in his own memoirs. He watched as his body turned from a gob of seemingly random junk and into the form of a child. Lou then watched himself born, and instead of being disgusted as he thought he would, he stared in wonder instead. Then everything began to speed up, flashing forward at so fast he felt like he was thinking and seeing things at the speed of light, but still able to comprehend it all and experienced it all over again, as if for the first time. Lou began to laugh, cry, scream, shout, rage, and repeat as he went through all the emotions he had again. His parents dying, his living on his own and being attacked and almost killed over and over again as a orphan child. Then the pride and satisfaction of joining the military and realizing he was good at something. And finally, the numbness of coming to the conclusion that he was nothing more than a hired killer. And when he died, no one would remember he'd ever even existed. Ooh, 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 ooh. He wiped the tears and snot from his eyes as his memories kept going. Now moving into his second life as Demon Rue. Lou watched his arrival and meeting with Ragnar and their escape from Imperial from the Imperial capital. Then their subsequent almost crash landing that had almost resulted in their frozen death due to a combination of freezing and drowning. Lou watched almost like he was watching, like he was seeing a movie of his life. A bystander that was emotionally attached in a way that no third party could ever understand. His life moved on to Ragnar, to being saved, being killed and eaten by Diddy and his tribe, and their eventual resolution of friendship before flashing to their meeting with Blanca Fang, which, funnily enough, almost ended up with them being killed and eaten. Lou was beginning to notice a pattern, and It was making him hungry. All right, here we go. Neck, back, hair, ears. Stretching. All right. I'm gonna get to 1,000, 102,000, and I'm gonna chill for a minute. Memories came even faster, and in over the next minute went through his time in Helter Skelter all the way up from meeting and saving Lady Cecilia, being invited to stay at the mayor's residence, finding the spot, and then building their restaurant, and the interaction of almost dying with the Thieves Guild, Thieves Guild. And pausing at Lou deciding to accept being a champion, and that he had to become a killer once again. Oh, nothing? Okay. Okay, well, doesn't look like it's working. I wonder if it's because I clicked like pop something. Well, let's just do this. Close. Quit. Start. Grammarly. I wondered about that. Please continue. The Metatron mused. Please continue. Lou looked quizzically at the man, but did as he said. His memories continued again and moved on to the training and training with his companions and delving the tower, their eventual payback and killing of the Thieves Guild and its leader. And then to shopping. Then to shopping for, and then attending the Christmas ball. Next came the tower. The monster outbreak from the tower, and then from there it flashed all the way up to Lou creating and arming Davy Crockett. Memories paused there. The whole Coliseum quiet in suspense as the Metatron gave Lou a hard stare and then back to his memory, which was projected in the center of the arena like a magical jumbotron. Letting it continue. Lou watched himself make quips and laugh at death in the face as he triggered the mini nuke before diving into the cellar. He leaned forward and stared up at the magical image, as this was an angle, and this was as it changed from the one he knew being in the cellar, from cowering under his trench coat in the cellar to a bird's eye view of the entire manor, but close enough to make out individuals and see their faces. He watched the smaller than original nuclear projectile shoot across the manor's grounds at the faster than the speed of sound. In milliseconds, it reached the halfway point from the cellar to the mayor's defensive square and exploded. Exploded in a flash of blinding and burning fire and light. Okay, 2,000 words. Over 2,000 words in less than 2 hours. 1 hour, 41 minutes. Not bad. So I think I will stop here for today. It's not 2,500, but I got a podcast to do in an hour, less, and I got to get ready for it. So tomorrow, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. So one more page after this, and that'll finish that, and we'll be done tomorrow, man. I think so, ladies, gentlemen, everybody. Let us do that, and then I will do this. YouTube, thank you for watching. Jared, thank you for watching, sir. You take care, brother. I'll be back on in an hour doing the podcast if you want to watch. Kick, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I'll be back in a little bit for the podcast. And Twitch, the same. Thank you for watching. I will, once again, be back on the podcast in a little bit. Deuces. Twitch, Kick, YouTubes.